The transfer portal is here to stay in college football, so you should expect a lot of transfer portal content on my YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about the wide receiver position. The portal really started getting going a couple days ago, and so far there are a ton of big-time receiver names who have put their name in. There's a lot of guys from Group of 5 programs who showed out in 2024 and are hoping to make the jump up to the Power 4. You have some former big-time recruits who are looking for a new destination, and you have a couple of other guys who are trying to make lateral moves. Today, I want to talk about 10 wide receivers who've entered the 2025 transfer portal, who I think you need to know about, and I think are also pretty crazy. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the 2025 transfer portal going crazy, wide receiver edition. So in particular, I want to highlight 10 different players, and the first guy we're going to talk about is a kid by the name of Bryson Canty. He is one of the more crazy stories in the 2025 transfer portal, as coming out of Reagan High School in North Carolina, Canty was not exactly seen as a big-time name. While he ended up putting up big numbers as an all-around athlete, he was only listed as a 3-star recruit, and he ended up deciding to go to Columbia. Not exactly a school you think about in terms of producing NFL talent, but he started 3 games as a freshman in 2021, was a first-team All-Ivy League member in 2022, played in 3 games in 2023, and then this past year caught 43 passes for 760 yards and 9 total touchdowns. Canty is 6'2" and had a ton of big games this year, and remember the Ivy League season is a little bit shorter, so Canty put up big numbers, and you could argue is one of the top FCS receivers in the portal, and I think is good enough to go all the way up to the Power 4. He has a pretty cool story, and I have no idea where he's going to go, but he'll be an intriguing option to watch, and you guys need to know about him. Okay, so the second guy we're going to take a look at is a player by the name of Concepcion. He ended up going to Chambers High School coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Concepcion has been talked about for quite some time. In his last 2 years of varsity football, he caught 65 passes for 977 yards and 12 total touchdowns. Coming out of high school, Concepcion was considered a 3-star recruit and would eventually decide to go over to NC State. In his 2 years at the Wolfpack, he's been successful, as last year in 2023, he caught 71 passes for 839 yards and 10 touchdowns, and this year would follow it up with 53 catches for 460 yards and 6 scores, despite ridiculously awful quarterback play and a pretty inept offense for the Pack. Right now, Concepcion's getting a ton of hype, as he's currently listed as the #1 wide receiver in the 2025 transfer portal, and he's already eyeing apparently 5 different football programs. Apparently, Alabama, Auburn, Colorado, Kansas State, and Penn State are the 3 teams going after him the most, and I'm anxious to see where he will end up. The third guy I want to talk about is a player by the name of Jaden Ballard. He's a name that people have been talking about in the college football world for quite some time, as I believe at one point he was nearly a 5-star recruit and was considered one of the top receivers in his class. Ultimately, he'd end up going to Washington High School in Massillon, Ohio. He caught 25 touchdown passes over his final 2 years in high school, and also caught over 100 passes combined in his last 2 years. Ballard would end up falling to a 4-star recruit coming out of high school and was a top 60 player, but due to the logjam going on at Ohio State, Ballard never really got going. He caught 1 pass as a freshman in 2021, 8 catches for a touchdown in 2022, and 2 catches in 2024. With guys like Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, and Jeremiah Smith already back for next year and another loaded class, Jaden Ballard saw the writing on the wall, and he has decided to enter the portal. And while right now he's not currently ranked near the top of anything, I kind of view him as a Jamison Williams type player who could blow up at his next school, and I do think is good enough to go back to the Power 4. I have no idea where he'll end up, and if you're an Ohio State fan, let me know your thoughts. So another player we're going to talk about is CJ Daniels. Coming out of Parkview High School in Georgia, CJ Daniels kind of went under the radar. He'd end up catching 93 passes for 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns, but sadly, he was only listed as a 2-star recruit and barely a top 500 wide receiver in the class of 2020. Daniels would end up going over to Liberty, where in his 4 years there, he was really solid. He had 600 yards and 7 touchdowns as a sophomore in 2021, but had his main breakout season in 2023 with 55 catches for 1,000 yards and 10 scores. He decided to transfer to LSU for the 2024 college football season, but this past year didn't really end up getting what he expected. He caught 42 passes, but only had 480 yards and did not catch a single touchdown pass. Because of this, he decided to enter the 2025 transfer portal, and he has 1 more year of eligibility remaining. I don't really know how good Daniels is, but I do think he'll get another shot and another crack at the Power 4, and I do wonder where he will end up. So at number 5, we have another FCS receiver who could make his way all the way up to the Power 4, as we need to talk about Javonnie Gibson. Coming out of Opelousas, Louisiana, I hope I said that right, Javonnie Gibson was literally a 0-star recruit. Apparently, he ended up going to Arkansas University at Monticello before he would eventually transfer over to Arkansas Pine Bluff. In 2024, this past season, Gibson ended up catching 70 passes for 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. He averaged nearly 17.4 yards per catch, and because of this, he's become one of the top receivers already in the portal. He is currently listed as the number 9 best option in this year's portal, and I definitely think he will be good enough to go up to the Power 4 level, and he's a lot like Bryson Canty. At player number 6, we have Prentice, and this is a lot like Jaden Ballard in my opinion. Coming out of Calera High School, Prentice was a huge deal when he first arrived at Alabama. He had caught 41 passes for 711 yards and 9 touchdowns as a junior, and was a consensus blue-chip 4-star recruit. At 5'10", Prentice would have his best year as a freshman, as he caught 31 passes for 337 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2022. In 2023, he caught 18 passes for 314 yards and 2 scores, and then this past year, he had 11 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. If you put 2 and 2 together, Prentice's role was slowly going down as he got older, and he probably realized it is time to go. I think because of his production, his pedigree coming out of high school, and him being at Alabama, he'll definitely have an opportunity to continue to go to the Power 4 level, but I think he will have to go down to a lower level Power 4 school instead. He's currently not getting a ton of hype or notoriety for entering the portal, but I think Prentice will reemerge next year somewhere and be a really solid addition for a team. Up next, we have a 5-star recruit who has taken an interesting path, as that is Texas wide receiver Jonte Cook III. Coming out of DeSoto, Texas, Cook was seen as one of the next big things, as during his 3 years in high school, he caught nearly 3,000 receiving yards, 50 touchdowns on 165 catches. Because of that, he was a huge deal, but unfortunately Cook never really broke out. He caught 8 passes as a freshman in 2023, and then would end up catching 8 passes for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2024. In early November, he decided to part ways with Texas and enter the transfer portal a couple of weeks early, and right now Cook is currently listed as the 3rd best receiver in the portal. He'll definitely probably go to another high-profile program, but I really have no idea where. Up next, we have a case of a receiver who went to a big school, then went down another level, and has an opportunity to make another jump, and that is Omari Kelly. He ended up being considered a blue-chip wide receiver coming out of Alabama, and would eventually decide to commit to Auburn as a fringe 4-star recruit. Unfortunately, Omari Kelly could not really end up getting anything going at Auburn, as he caught 4 passes in his first 2 years, but he would transfer to Middle Tennessee State, where this past season, he broke out. Kelly caught 53 passes for 869 yards and 4 touchdowns, and decided to enter his name into the transfer portal. Currently, Kelly is listed as the 5th best receiver in this year's portal, and will definitely have an opportunity to go up a level again and make it back to the Power 4. These are the success stories I love to cover on the channel, and he is definitely a name to watch here in the coming months. Our second to last guy is going to be wide receiver Eric Rivers from Florida International. Coming out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, he went to McCallie High School and was not very highly recruited coming out of high school. He wasn't even listed as a top 1,300 player and was considered the number 98 athlete in the class of 2021. Rivers would actually end up starting out his career at Memphis, but then would go over to Florida International. He caught 32 passes for 343 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2023 before breaking out in 2024. Rivers caught 62 passes for 1,172 yards and 12 touchdowns this past fall, and that's quite impressive with how bad Florida International football has been. He was probably the brightest spot on this Panthers team, and he has now entered the transfer portal and is considered the number 4 overall receiver. People are already talking about him either going to Florida or Tennessee, so no matter what, he's probably going to go to a big-time SEC program and will likely make his way over to the NFL in about a year from now. Rivers is a guy I'm keeping a close eye on, and is another one of those great success stories that I love to see. Alright, so the last guy we're going to take a look at today is Micah Hudson. Coming out of Lake Belton High School in Texas, Hudson was a huge deal. He had more than 3,500 receiving yards and 57 touchdowns during his 4-year high school career, and because of that, Hudson was considered a 5-star recruit. He was ranked as the number 5 receiver and the 25th overall player in the class of 2024, and Hudson would arrive immediately at Texas Tech and would attempt to put the world on notice. Unfortunately, it wouldn't end up happening, as he only caught 8 passes for 123 yards and did not register a single touchdown. Texas Tech still had a good season without him, but Hudson decided to enter the transfer portal, and Texas Tech fans, I guess, were not surprised at all. Because of his former 5-star status, he'll probably get offers from pretty much every SEC and Big Ten program, and I guarantee you he'll actually take a step up from Texas Tech instead of a step down, despite the lackluster production. Currently, Hudson is listed as the number 2 receiver in the transfer portal, and he has legit NFL potential, but he just needs the right school to bring it out of him. So yeah, today I talked about 10 transfers who are currently in the portal at the wide receiver position, who they were, and why these are names that you need to know. But who the heck did I miss? I know I probably missed about 70 or 80 people, as there are constantly new receivers going into the portal each and every hour, and be sure to let me know a hidden gem down below. Let me know what sort of list I should do next, and also before you go, don't forget to also leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.